Alrighty, hello everybody, and welcome back to the Mania 4-Key World Cup 2024. We are now officially starting our Sunday block of matches. And oh boy, what a way to kick it off. Another winner's bracket showdown, the 1 seed versus our 16 seed. It is the ultimate of sibling rivalries. It is the United States taking on Canada for what feels like the umpteenth time, transcending game modes. But they're going to duke it out in Mania specifically tonight. As always, my name is Sparky, and I am joined in the commentary booth by none other than Dynascape. Dyna, how you doing?
I am doing great, Sparky. Always love to see the North American neighbors smackdown. And what better way with the United States, the number one, facing Canada, looking to see who's going to make it pass on to round 3 in the winner's side to face seed 9 Malaysia. And we've already seen what both of these teams can do. We know them in and out, you and I, Sparky. So, I mean, we've got a good sense of what game plan they have for this Protect Ban phase.
Oh, absolutely. It's one of those cases where it feels a little disparaging at this point, where it's like the United States has felt like they've reached this like peak of performance. Everything has lined up for them beautifully as of last year, and they're facing this Canadian roster, a little bit of a rebuild. A lot of their heavy hitters are either moved on to 7 key or just moved on in general, and the young guns having to come in, maybe bolstered here and there by a little bit of experience. But this could very easily shape up to feel like a David versus Goliath type of matchup. But we always know that David has a chance in these types of matchups. What do you think, Dinah?
I think that Canada can definitely snag a couple of points. I do like United States banning out SV2. As we all know, Canada usually a pretty good SV team, but they forsake it and say, hey, we're gonna ban SV1. So this is one of those matchups suddenly where there's no SVs. It's just going to be a battle of pure skill sets, just probably Rice versus LNs based on what protects we have so far. And so pretty scary looking at it right now, like you said, but silver lining, Canada does have Mayo 149 this week. You know, I think they struggled just a little bit against Australia, but still a decently dominant victory 5-2 over them, considering how close they were in terms of seeding, especially without May, just because I believe usually they're kind of like that first or second person in terms of scoring and basically every skill set. So Canada going ahead and picking the Streams map, Rice 1 for the first pick of the match. We have to see how they do as they line up their players. So far it looks like Sunny Verdon, Nemesis, no switch outs so far. Have to see how this goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Starting things off with a very straightforward Rice pick, at least in the grand scheme of things, compared to some of the other Rice picks in this pool. Maybe setting the tone a little bit. This is very much going to be a test. The purest test outside of maybe the core jack pick of just raw accuracy. We know that all the players in this lobby are more than capable of sharpshooting some really nice 990k plus scores. It's gonna come down to who can really hold the nerve as the team, who can keep those mistakes to a minimum, the 200 counts low, maybe avoiding the misses. Getting that 3-way FC is gonna be so important in a map like this, and I feel like it's gonna be very important for every map between these two countries, because we know what Canada is capable of. It's just whether or not they can prove to themselves that they can stand up to a team like the United States.
Oh, for sure. And here on the side of the United States, we see Nebjin and Hello Sun, two very big staples when it comes to basically any map, especially in Rice. And their supporting cast is going to be Beta Carotene on this map. Usually puts up a pretty decent score. Sometimes, you know, it's a couple thousand off of those two, but I mean, that's really all you can ask for when your teammates are Nebjin and Hello Sun. So Sunny Verdon, Nemesis, gonna try to do their best. And if anything, they need to, honestly, all three of them need to score higher than Beta Carotene, in the sense that if they all 6-way FC, United States is gonna smash them, most likely. So really need to keep up that accuracy. And I think that, a couple mistakes might need to be done on the side of the United States for this map to maybe make Canada take it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, opportunities are going to present themselves as this match goes along. I think it'd be doing a severe injustice to Canada, just kind of writing them off before the match has even started. But it's going to be up to them to show that they can capitalize on any opportunity that they're presented. And as we begin the first major stream section, hasn't really climbed up to those 1-8 snaps that we're used to. Still kind of in a building phase, but everybody holding strong. Only about 1,000 points in favor of the United States. That's about 0.1% between the teams at the moment as we begin the build up into the second quarter. And here we go.
Yeah, we know that all 6 of these players really do have that accuracy needed in that beginning section, but as we switch to 8th snappings and the streams get to 320 BPM, we do see 2 players from Canada fall off just a little bit in terms of accuracy. Nemesis even dropping twice. That's not going to do well for Canada, as the United States asked Canada, what is a kilometer, as they stretch a mile ahead in terms of score.
That is the most perfect way to put that. The end of that stream, Nemesis doing their best to hang on, but just not able to keep up with that 300 plus BPM stream. And in their attempt to try and salvage things, that's just where things kind of started to fall apart. A full 2% behind now, and the United States taking that, running with it all the way to a 54,000 point lead going into the last third here.
Yeah, I have to wonder if it's just nerves getting to Nemesis. Is it didn't warm up properly? Because I know them to be able to do this and handle it quite easily. It's just they're not doing too well on this run, unfortunately. And honestly, looking at the other side of the scoreboard, it doesn't seem like they could have done much against the juggernaut known as the United States. All 3 players from them hitting above 99.9 accuracy, essentially. And I mean, the United States is not going to give an inch to Canada as they try to close this out on this closing stream.
Yeah, I mean, even if it was a perfect, immaculate run, even with Sunny's best efforts hanging on to that 99.8, by far and away the highest accuracy for Canada. As you mentioned before this map started, I mean, they needed to be above what we were thinking being the third man, the anchor for the United States in beta carotene, and they couldn't even do that. And 200,000 points, the lead, does a little bit of an injustice to how close that was at the beginning. I feel like that's going to be one of those, like, okay, something happened here, but the United States taking it, it's going to be that first break point to start this match off. Could not ask for a better start for this US roster.
Yeah, and if I were Canada, I'd start looking at possibly a switch, just trying to see what's up with Nemesis, as they did not do too well. 95.45 is not acceptable at all, especially when you're in the round of 16 and you're subbed in for Rice Picks. I mean, an 800k is not impressive. You need to look at other players. You need to maybe look at something changing.
Yeah, I mean, we can call it maybe a mulligan. Maybe there was a technical issue towards the middle of that run, and once they saw that second one happen, it was kind of like, okay, yeah, we know who we're playing. Save the stamina, save something here in the tank, because it's going to be a bit of a slugfest, and they need to be firing on all cylinders. But the United States not pulling any punches, going to go straight into LN1 here to start off their first pick of this match.
Yeah, it's starting off with a little bit of LN coordination, which bodes well if they are able to snag this, as LN3 is quite coordinated too. So, I mean, good pick by the United States. Seems like they're going to go for the LN route. As boost anima, we're going to see Peach Marrow subbed in for beta carotene. Canada currently making those switches. Nemesis does finally drop out. Who are we going to see for them for their third?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who comes in. Lazy Ghost 14 going to check in for Canada, and it'll be interesting to see how they perform in comparison to Peach Marrow, who subs in for the United States. Definitely a LN versus Rice-oriented anchor position for both these countries. It's always nice to have that flexibility to be able to have people waiting in the wings to come in and really show off what they're made of on their preferred skill set. So as we wait for the players to get ready, MP Start command comes out. We're going to get into the second map of this best of 11. Can the United States double up to start things off, or can Canada find a way to get that first breakpoint back and restore parity in this match?
Yeah, I mean, Sunny and Verdun weren't really that far behind the third player for the United States in Rice. We're going to have to see if anything changes here when it comes to LN. And right now, I mean, looking at the accuracies, things seem pretty even as is. There are a lot of release tricks right now, a lot of, LN jacks. And it seems like Verdun is just absolutely killing it right now, basically neutralizing Hello Sun as Sunny tries to catch up to Peach Marrow.
Yeah, right now we're looking at the thirds, the subs for this map. Peach Marrow holding their own against Lazy Ghost, 0.2%, accounting for a majority of this lead. Right now, the United States has built above 5,000 points and change. And with 6 FCs still left on the board going into the second quarter of the map, once we get into this first real chorus section, things are going to start to build up. These major bursts begin to rain down across all 4 columns. Everybody able to make it through immaculately.
Yeah, I mean, just went through a slew of stagger releases into some weird jacks, getting into some more now, and look at Neptune, 99.86. Takes, I think, a late grade, but doesn't really put a damper on their accuracy too much, and especially when United States has such a big lead. At this point, it's really all riding on any misses from the United States.
Yeah, and even then, I think they've built up enough of a cushion to where they can kind of roll through the misses. But Verdun going to be the first one to miss for the side of Canada. And that one looked like something else might have happened, similar to that first map for Nemesis. Hopefully, nothing marring their performance. But as it stands, the United States was already well and truly ahead by about 5 digits. Now they've more than doubled that lead to 36,000 points going into the last third here. And Canada is going to need something major to happen on the side of the United States to have a chance to get back into this map.
Yeah, I mean, that drop from Verdun looked quite deadly. I think they missed an entire 3-note chord at some point. So, I mean, a lot of work to be done for Canada and for them to be able to even put up a fight, as the United States starting to run away with it. 40,000 points is honestly quite insane. When you look back to last week, United States versus the Netherlands, the 32nd seed actually, I mean, Netherlands was keeping things pretty close. I think average about like 20,000, 30,000 points between them in any given map. So, I mean, to do this to Canada in the round of 16 map is very, very scary. It's not looking too great for Canada as the United States closes it out with an insane team score.
Yeah, just the epitome of consistency. The scary thing is the fact that going further into this tournament, I mean, the United States scales so well with harder map pools. The fact that they're pulling off scores like this, convincing victories, it doesn't really peter out as things get harder. If anything, they get better as things get harder. So 2 to the good as it stands. Canada up to pick once again, sticking to their guns. It's going to be Rice 4, moving into something a little bit more technical now.
Yeah, and it seems like they want to stick with their attack on Rice plan, and I do like the switch in categorization. You didn't do too well on Rice 1, so maybe it's time for some tech, because Rice 3 seems like, too straightforward. It's core jack, United States probably isn't going to miss. You gotta look for any openings, and what better opening than some chokeable maps down in the Rice section. So Bola Face It, very, very good choice for Canada. Probably one of their better picks in order to steal a point.
Yeah, this map is so abrasive. It's so short as well. Just over 1:45 seconds. And I always like to say, all these shorter maps, you play with fire a little bit. You force yourself to avoid those misses, because the score loss from misses on maps this short is so much more exacerbated in comparison to something like a stamina pick that goes well over 3 minutes, closer to 4 minutes. You can kind of recover in the midway portions. Here, if you miss in the middle of the map, that is essentially the 7,000, 8,000 points you're giving over it. And that's if you keep it clean. If it's a dirty miss, all bets are off.
Pretty much. I mean, this map really gives no room to breathe. Like you said, any misses, many more could potentially follow, especially with the bursty nature of this map. A lot of it coming from 187 BPM jacks, a lot of those pretty decent density as well, doubles into doubles, stuff like that. And then transitioning out into the streams can be a real nightmare for some of these players. So physicality much needed, as well as, you know, you kind of have that balance of should I go for accuracy or should I go for combo when thinking about this map?
For sure, and I feel like that's a gamble you have to take with regards to the combo versus accuracy type of question. And if I'm Canada, I'm taking the combo game because all you need is the United States, one or two of their players finds a miss at an inopportune time. So long as you're still within maybe a 0.2% in terms of your accuracy, then things maybe start going your way a little bit and you start to build up a little bit of confidence as you move on. And right now we are just waiting for Canada. They decided to take their time out, waiting for one of their players. I feel like somebody to round out this roster. I think they were mentioning the aforementioned Sawdust Inhaler, I believe, also known as Accelerix, if I remember correctly. Gotta love the name changes, but somebody who can maybe lend some stability to this Canadian rice-oriented roster.
Yeah, I do like the potential Accelerix sub in. I think that they are really, really good when it comes to Rice accuracy. And we saw on the night away, Rice won for that first pick. Honestly, Sunny and Verdun did their best, and they weren't too far behind the second and third players for the United States. So again, a three-way FC is basically needed for Canada. But if they can pull it off and United States falters even once on any of these three players, that means Canada can take this point.
Yeah, there's definitely avenues for them, especially like even moving past this pick, just opening up the rest of the more tech-oriented picks. We have like /A/ and the name escapes me, but we have Rice 5 and 6, the two just below Balafasset, as potential options to really just keep the United States on their toes, just pay a little bit more respect in terms of the level of performance they need to give to ensure they lock down these points. And I mean, with the way things have been going, even if Canada goes on to lose this pick, if they can keep it within, I'd say like 5,000-10,000 points, I take that as a win for confidence sake, at least. But with that being said, we're moving on into the map. Sawdust Inhaler not going to be in this one. It's going to be Lazy Ghost backing up Sunny and Verdun, looking to try and scratch the armor of this near invincible looking United States roster.
Yeah, let's see what they can do. And starting off already, Era Sunny, very, very strong accuracy, especially when you compare it to Beta Carotene and Hello Sun. More of that is going to be needed, and Verdun Lazy Ghost might need to potentially up the accuracy by just a little bit. But as we said, you know, misses are needed on the United States, but unfortunately for Canada, misses are what's happening on their side, as Verdun and Lazy Ghost both take one. Lazy Ghost takes two, and suddenly Canada finds themselves with a 30,000 point and climbing deficit.
Yeah, again, we were talking about it before this map started. It's the double-edged sword. It's like, it's a short map. Yes, there's less opportunity for mistakes to happen, but when those mistakes do happen, this is what can potentially become of it. You're barely over that 400 combo cap. You're trying to get back over it. That's 30 seconds gone that you give some free score over to the United States. And I mean, even if they hadn't, we would have started harping on the accuracy requirement needed to stand up to the United States. 3 players above 99.9%. The level of consistency the United States has found within themselves these last couple of years is something to behold. It reminds me of the Brazilian teams from the late 2010s in terms of level of performance. Sunny goes down through that monologue, Lazy Ghost as well, but I mean, it's all for naught. 75,000 points. How do you touch the United States on a map like this?
It's not impossible, Sparky, really. I mean, when you think about their performance on this map, basically every other map that we've seen so far from them this tournament, it's hard to scrap together like three players in general to beat the United
23.
States. 23 is absolutely insane. All DDPs coming out from the United States. A couple of bad judgments on Beta Carotine's side, but to get a 993.5 even with those is absolutely disgusting and still blows out of the water any player on the Canadian team.
Yeah, best efforts, best foot forward for Canada. I mean, on any other day, any other team, maybe they're able to get away with some of those scores, but not in this case. They're just being put to the sword right now. 3-0 with the United States out to pick once again. LN2 going to be the option for them.
And will Sawdust Inhaler be the change that's needed for Canada? It's really tough. As we saw on the last map, there was a huge disparity in terms of score for the LN map. So this one, again, a good choice by the United States. Honestly, any choice is good for them. But, LN, when it comes to facing Canada, seems like it's been working by a large amount. Canada losing by almost 50,000 points on Boost Anima. There's a lot of work to be done for the boys in red and white, and United States just looking to make this a quick one. Will this become a sweep? It's entirely possible.
Yeah, and I think the worst part about it is the fact that Canada doesn't even have something like the SV charts to kind of fall back to. We always like to keep those in the conversation as a potential like wild card type of pick, that Hail Mary type of situation where you never know, you can catch someone cold and those misses start to come out, the anticipation of some of those teleports and some of those maps. But given that they were both banned out, it's just straight shooting from here. And right now the United States has drawn a bead and they are dialed in.
Yeah, it's hard to catch someone out cold on the United States, especially when Hello Sun and Neptune have really just been holding it down for their team. Peach Marrow and Beta Carotene always bringing out such good supporting scores, whether it be on LN or Rice for the two of them. So, I mean, United States really does just have such a solid roster, as always. And, I mean, again, that's why we call them a juggernaut as we delve into this density pick. 192 BPM for not too long, only 2 minutes. So, as you always say, mistakes are absolutely deadly on this map.
Yeah, especially when you're being asked to perform at the level that these players are pushing themselves to. It is essentially, misses are banned, essentially. 200s are cutting it close. And as we continue on, this is a better start for Canada at the moment. 4,000 points, but we've said that before on some of these other picks, and things have kind of gone south for them. Can they hang on? There is a little bit of life. Hello Sun, Neptune holding on to 4 for the United States, 99.9 for them. Got the 99.7s for Canada, just 2/10 behind their counterparts. Still within striking distance, still in with a shout to try to capitalize on a potential mistake with half the map still left to go here.
Yeah, tons of teams would be salivating at the thought of only a 5,000 point differential halfway into the map versus the United States. And Canada, although it has gone up to 7,000 points, still very much so in it. As we get into some of these longer density runs, it's very tough, especially with Neptune at a 99.95, but really that weak point being Peach Marrow, as Sunny and Verdun right up their alley. It seems like a couple of misses are needed and need to be in order for the Canada to take this point, and it's looking pretty tough as we try to close things out.
Yeah, it's a testament to the level of performance when we say that Peach Marrow is the weakest link for the United States at 99.76. No, just 99.76. A accuracy that many players would kill for on a map like this. And the United States is going to be able to close this one out. 20,000 points to margin. The closest we've seen this match so far. 6-way FC. Cleanest performance we've seen from Canada, but it's just next level from the United States. Neb and Hello Sun, how consistent are these two? Double-digit perfects from Neb once again on an LN pick that dense.
Yeah, 9985 is nothing to scoff at. You look at the statistics later on in the weekend, and you'll probably find Neptune's name on top of a lot of them. And I mean, things are getting quite dire for Canada. It does seem to be their pick and potential last pick, so this is very much so important for them to be able to strike on the right map.
Yeah, and at the 11th hour, who answers the call but May0149 stepping in for Canada. This was more akin to the lineup that I think we were expecting going into this match for the Rice picks. Sunny, May, and Sawdust Inhaler kind of locking it down for Canada to try and contest. And right now with the United States up 4-0 at the moment, they can kind of take some luxuries, give some players a break, or kind of mess around with the rosters. Let some players get some experience, get some play time. Reshiram checking in for the United States, a very storied player in their own right as well. Normally reserved for the SVs, given their preference, I imagine, now with their level of play count, at least inside of OS, but definitely more than capable of swinging a performance on something like this as well.
Oh, for sure. I mean, honestly, you could put Reshiram on basically
Everything.
any map in this. Yeah, you could put them on everything, and they would still do just fine. Usually would probably be that supporting score for Neptune and Hello Sun. But we do get to see May, which is very exciting as well. Was not there last week, and I think also qualifier week as they were injured. I believe, honestly, they're still injured, which is why they didn't play on these maps, alluding to why we didn't see them on some of these other Rice picks, which is honestly really unfortunate for Team Canada.
Yeah, definitely a very good player, and I hope they're on the right scroll speed. You wouldn't want to come in much slower than what you were expecting, but I mean, you play with the hand that you're given. If this is the scroll speed that they're going to play with, so be it. The United States isn't going to pull any punches here.
No, not at all. And unfortunately, on this map, there really aren't any places where you can scramble and hit the increased scroll speed button on your keyboard. So May's just going to have to duke it out on this really slow scroll speed. Still doing just fine. All things considered, 98.6 on this is kind of crazy. But, I mean, the damage is already done. We're basically just reaching combo cap, and United States pulling ahead with a 4,000 point lead. So, a lot of work to be done for Canada.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we get into the first real major section of Jump Stream, only a quarter of the map done so far. And again, tell me if you've heard the story before. 99.9s across the board. We know that the United States is more capable of swinging scores like that, but Sunny and Sawdust Inhaler, 99.9s of their own, able to stand toe-to-toe with the United States at the moment. And May starting to bring up the performance as well, 99.4, and climbing, starting to settle in just a little bit here. But finding the drop, as I mentioned their name, I am so sorry, and the lead doubles to about 9,000 points as we continue on here. The United States still looking strong as ever. And I mean, give or take a couple 300s, Snep is basically at 100%.
Pretty much, and it really is unfortunate to see May drop that combo, because really when you look at it, Sawdust Inhaler and Sunny basically cancel out Peachmere and Reshiram. It all would have been Neptune versus May. And thinking about it, you know, a couple of misses could have been on the United States side, but Sunny finding a miss halfway into the map, especially once we get into that break section, that's very, very unfortunate for them. United States pulling through 16,000 points. There's a third of the map left. May drops again. Sawdust Inhaler, the only FC left for Canada, and things look absolutely dire.
Yeah, I mean, we've been saying it repeatedly. We sound like broken records at this point, but it's just the level of consistency, the team scores that the United States is able to put out here. It's a marvel to behold, and very few teams in the last couple of years could have hoped to have said something similar. But as it stands, last quarter of the map left to go. This is the strongest team performance Canada has put forth here. It's unfortunate that it's this late on in the match, but I mean, hey, at least they can kind of take some confidence in this as Sawdust Inhaler, the final FC for Canada, goes down. Still hanging on around that 99.9 range. Very clean drop overall. Sunny as well coming up to meet them in terms of the accuracy, but it's definitely a bit of a what if. What if this roster was at full strength? Maybe it would have played out the same way where the United States kind of builds these 9 insurmountable leads, but it would have been back and forth for a while. And as the last couple of notes rain down, the United States going to make it a match point situation. 5-0 to start this match off with their pick upcoming. A opportunity to put a nice little bow on proceedings as a 3-way FC and 3-way V1SS.
Yeah, Neverton yet again with a DDP. It doesn't matter what kind of map it is, whether it be tech, LN density, jump stream, this man can really do it all. And I mean, United States, in that last match that we just had commentated on, Argentina versus Poland, we talked about Argentina has that consistency, Poland has that accuracy. This is what separates top teams from these middling seeds like Canada. You have to have both if you want to be the best. And I mean, I can't remember. Honestly, I'm not sure if United States has missed on a map in brackets so far.
I don't believe so. At least this round. Round 16, 5 for 5 as it stands. I'm more sure somebody's already going to fact check us for round of 32, but you'd be hard pressed to find a moment where they drop maybe a 50. I'd be willing to say somebody dropped a 50 somewhere, but it's just levels. There's everybody at the moment in like their own pool, and then you have the US. I
just checked myself. Sorry for cutting you off, but I mean, US didn't even drop a 100 in the round of 32. We had Beta Carotine's 50 in Bola Faceit with that double tap near the end, but that is quite literally the first bad judgment that the United States have had in the bracket stage. So just absolutely insane performance for them. They are going to try to finish things off on Mechanical Jaeger Hybrid 2. Much like LN1, their previous pick, super coordination heavy.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, going into this match, they basically had pick of the litter of what they wanted to play. Just, what do we enjoy? What do we kind of need to grind out? What do we want to avoid? And you can kind of just check off, yeah, we can play everything. Okay, cool. What do you guys want to play? And their picks have been near perfect.
Yeah, it's hard to pick a not perfect pick when you're essentially you're nearing perfection as a team in MWC, right? And so I mean, United States looking to crush Canada 6-0 as we get into this potentially final pick in Hybrid 2. A lot of coordination needed, like I said, so there's a lot of chokeability on this map, especially when it comes to things around the LNs. However, as we've seen time and time again, United States, will take a lot to break them.
Absolutely, and as we make our way through this introduction, everybody makes it up over that 400 combo cap. Another very strong start for the Canadians, able to kind of keep the US in check for the moment. 3,000 points, separated just by that accuracy, as we've been harping on this entire match. It's just, there's looking for the opening, just something, a crumb, a morsel to latch onto, to try and swing this over to the blue side. But the United States, the cruelest customer at this establishment, not willing to play ball with the other teams as they begin to grow their advantage to 7,000 points. There hasn't been a mistake made in this map so far. 6-way FC, and it's 13,000 points.
Just always a scary sight to see. We are getting into a break section, so you can really recollect and just take note of how you're doing. And right now, Canada is really in the hot seat as Sawdust Inhaler takes a late 200. Lazy Ghost, I believe, in early 200. A lot of 200s coming out from Canada as we get into this little Ki section, and that lead for the United States is just going up.
Yeah, this is by far the cleanest Canadian performance so far, and even then, it is just not enough to even put a dent in the United States. Sunny goes down, and with that, probably any hope of winning this pick as we make our way through this outro. It is going to be a clean sweep as Lacey Ghost falls as well. It's a little bit of a connection issue for Sunny. I think they ended the map just a little earlier than everybody else on the stream, and it is official. It is a 6-0 clean sweep. Another team V1SS for the United States. An immaculate performance, the cherry on top of a delicious Sunday for the United States as they push Canada down into that loser's bracket.
Oh yeah, syrupy sweet victory for the United States, sweeping Canada, who was a very scary team, off of their feet 6-0. So United States gonna go on to play Seed 9 Malaysia, who had quite the upset against China earlier on Saturday, and Canada going down into losers bracket, gonna face off against Argentina, who we saw pulled off an amazing upset against Poland.
Yeah, so not the end of the line for Canada, as we mentioned. Commiserations to them. Live to fight another day. Hopefully, rest up, heal up, and come back full force next weekend. The United States, of course, marches on dutifully as I think they expect of themselves to just keep it as clean as possible, leave no room for doubt. And I mean, that we're gonna run out of superlatives for this team, I imagine, before this tournament is up. Somebody has to come up and stop them.
Yeah, I feel like I'm already grasping at straws when I have to try to describe the three that they said. Yeah, pretty much. But I mean, that is gonna do it for us for now. Only match in this little block. We do have quite a bit going on in about 11 hours. So starting at 12 UTC, we have a double header, and then we also have a match at 13 UTC, 2 on 14 UTC. So 5 matches in 3 hours is going to be absolutely a treat. And Sparky, honestly, I don't have any witty transitions into this. Could you please explain the banners for us?
Absolutely. If you enjoy any of the action that you have seen so far and you wish to support teams just that little bit further and show off your support on your profile, you can head on over to the O store and for the low price of $2.50, purchase yourself a team banner. Any of the 32 teams that have qualified for this year's edition of the Mania 4Key World Cup are on the board, and you can show your support by purchasing their banner. And if you're indecisive like me, can't pick a team, pick multiple. You can buy as many as you want. You can buy all 32. And if you choose the winning team at the end of it all, your banner will stick around just that little bit longer leading up into the next World Cup. So why not show your support? Pick up a banner today. Show your appreciation for the players, for everybody involved in making this event as spectacular as it is. But with that being said, we will close it out here. We'll catch you guys in about 11 hours. Get some rest. Be prepared for more insane 4-key action. And we'll catch you guys later.